your Facebook, right?
Yeah, we're live right now. You just said that live on television.
Oh,
So
are
we are live. We've been live for
okay.
6 seconds, Mike.
Okay, well that's cool. We just popped right on. I didn't even get any warning.
Welcome to the talk show. What is the name of it, Mike? What do we call it?
We are random. We're just two mostly ignorant humans talking about stuff. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, just whatever's on our mind today, what we want to chat about. Of course, we're always going to relate stuff to what we do, right? Because
sure, absolutely,
mortgages and housing and all that kind of stuff. But that's not all we do. So occasionally we have some opinions about a few other things, and I especially love to hear your opinions because you're one of my favorite people. So I'm very excited about what you got to say.
Well, let me tell you a little quick tidbit as we're waiting on people. There's already 4 on here, but one of the things that frustrates me about sports talk radio is they'll get off the subject on something random and quirky and ignorant, right? And I'm like, why are you talking about that? Because they claim that they're a sports talk radio, which says you have to talk about sports all the time. On the flip side, we might give you some mortgage stuff and some market stuff, but most of this stuff is random and quirky. And why are y'all even talking about this? And the funny thing is, I don't know about you, Mike, but I got several comments like I thoroughly enjoyed. It's like when you can watch something and shift your brain in neutral, like, all right, let's see what they got to say.
Yeah, well, a lot of times it's just like, while you're typing away, you're just listening to random stuff. Look, I'm a huge, I love, we talk about mowing all the time, right? That's one of the things we have in common.
Mowing?
Love mowing. Yes,
yeah,
mowing.
Yeah.
Well, we won't get into that yet, but I want to know pretty soon some of your thoughts on your mower and different stuff. But we'll get there another time.
Yeah, that's a different,
It's a whole other day. You got to prep for this because I need to be properly educated. But point being is that like when I'm out there mowing, doing my thing, I'm not listening to music usually. Usually I listen to like YouTube or a podcast or a book or something like that to kind of keep me, it's like my Zen time. So, I think a lot of times people like to just keep ambient noise in the background as long as we're not incredibly annoying. Maybe they'll listen for a little bit,
Just a little bit of information. I've got a whole playlist that's mowing playlist, right? And it is music, and I am singing, and I have the neighbors like, Donnie, man, I had to go inside the other day. Your mower wasn't running me off, but your singing was. I'm just like, I'm mowing away. Yeah, so I'm not a podcast guy. I'm a singer. I don't want to learn anything on the mower.
Well, you know what? Most of it's, some of it's learning. That's true because it's just how my brain works. But if you were to ask me, 2 hours after I got off the mower, if I remembered everything I was listening to, the odds are probably not. But you pick up a few little things here and there which keep you engaged. So that's what I like.
So for the viewers out there, we do have an agenda. It's a 3 bullet point agenda. We have topics we're going to talk about. Sometimes it'll be 4, might just be 2 if it's a hot topic and we're going to talk a lot. But we do have some method to the madness. We have no idea what we're going to talk about it. We just know we're going to talk about it. And by the way, 1 bullet point today, I have no idea what it is. So Mike's springing that on me. But first things first. It's a big day today, yesterday, tomorrow, and Sunday, especially Sunday. I was getting excited a couple weeks ago, and it's here, and it's already like, oh my gosh, it's going by so fast. So Mike, I live for spring. You got the birds chirping. It's starting to warm up. We get to mow, but the Masters is spring. Does it mean that much to you?
If I'm being honest, man, no. I think I've watched in my entire life, I'm 42, fixing to be 43. I think I've actually watched a full, and not even a full, I wouldn't even call it the full tournament. I would say a full day of coverage, maybe once, and that was in the Tiger Woods heyday.
Yeah, sure.
There was a period of my life where I knew what was going on. You know what I mean? I knew Phil Mickelson and Rory McIlroy and Woods and all those guys. So I knew kind of who was what and where because, listen to sports radio constantly. So you just kind of hear that stuff. But I was never really I was hard pressed to sit down and watch 4 hours of Masters coverage. That's going to be tough for me. Now, I like to play golf, but I'm also not just a big, again, it's 3.5 hours of out there on the course that I just I get fidgety. I can't do that.
Okay, well, you're not talking the next little bit unless you have an opinion. So, because these people that are watching, because I'd say most of them are my friends,
Yes.
love golf, right? Not
Okay.
I only associate with people normally that love golf. So, I've been to Augusta. I was lucky enough to go with my good friend Jim and Jimmy, Dad's son. Jim is now gone; he passed away. But they took me down there, and it was. Forget about golf for a second.
Yeah.
Forget about even grass. Just everything being uniform and it's like no other, as Nance says or whoever says on Master Sunday. It is something to see that, like, you know what their budget is for turf care at the Masters?
Let me think here. I would guess probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like $20 million.
There's no number.
No, it doesn't even.
If you need it, get it. That's all.
Whatever it takes.
There is no, like, when they don't have to get bogged down at the end of the year preparing the budget for next year because it's unlimited, whatever.
So like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not a golf idiot. Like, I appreciate golf. I can appreciate those who really like to watch golf. I don't think, like, I like baseball. I'm a baseball guy. I can sit down and watch a baseball game. I don't think that somebody that doesn't appreciate baseball as much could sit through a 3-hour baseball game either. So it's kind of what you do and what you're into. But I do have an appreciation for it. I know how awesome it is. And I will tell you, like, when you go play the few times, I'll say a few times. I've played golf a lot, but the times that we go somewhere that, is especially nice, like I got to play on Colonial once. And, when you do stuff like that, Colonial's in Fort Worth. It's a Fort Worth golf course. You see it on
sure
a lot. But so I've been able to do that kind of stuff. And that, yeah, man, you can't, it's not about golf at that point. That's just a bucket, what do they call bucket list item, something you have to experience because, look, I think the best thing about golf is that you're outside because you get to be in, I know it sounds whatever, but you're in nature and that keeps you happy. It's like being by the beach, being on a clean grass, whatever. That's
lake, mountain, it's nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the beauty of it is not lost on me. I'm just not, if you're like, hey, Mike, let's go play golf, I'll be like, I'm down. But if you're like, hey, Mike, you're going to go play golf today or every day, I'm like, nah, man, I'm good.
Or watch it for 8 hours straight.
Yeah, watching's a little rough. Now, again, I'm all for drama. I'm all for, the moment. So, like, if it's Sunday afternoon and it's the top two guys, like, dueling it out on the last round, okay, I might tune in because that's historical type stuff, right? Those are moments. It's like the NCAA championship. I didn't really watch much of that game, but I heard that, like, the Gonzaga and the USC game was just one of those games if you saw it, Yeah. So look, I love sports. Like, sports is my thing, but it's just like you only have so many hours in the day, right? Like what you can commit to as far as time. So
yeah, no doubt, and that's the bottom line. You do what you love to do. So just an FYI, when Jimmy took me, this is not. Obviously, it's an 09 model shirt. I was down there in 2009. I have 2 shirts, a long sleeve, and then a hat. So that's my attire. Like yesterday, I wore my other shirt. Tomorrow, I'll wear my hat, and I'll snuggle down and wear my long sleeve on Sunday and hunker down on the couch, and I'll be there all day. That's just. And again, I'm nuts about it. I love golf, and to be quite frank, as I've gotten older, I do like golf, and I'm pretty good. I'm not freaking awesome or anything. I'm not. I know about where my ball's going. I can get around the course, whatever.
Well, I'm glad you know where your ball's going. That's a good thing.
Edit. But as I've gotten older, I've started liking grass, turf more than the actual golf. I love mowing and fertilizing just right and herbicides. So that we're definitely going to lose viewers if I talk about that. So next topic, where are we at? Let's see.
Okay.
Not that one.
Don't pull it up just yet. Hang on. So drop that down for a second. All right. So I want to ask you a question. Obviously, you've already seen this, so you kind of know where I'm going with this. But
I didn't even read it.
Okay, good, because you're blind and your eyes are dilated. We'll get to that too. But, okay, so we all remember the housing crash of, what do we want to call it, 2006? Is that where 7, 8? What do we want to?
8, 9.
Okay. All right, so so 2008, 2009, we have this housing market crash because of the bubble, right? And there's a whole lot of reasons why and how, and go watch The Big Short. It's a great movie about it. It's got a lot of
absolutely
accurate portrayals of what went down. But one of the things that really affected how all this went was, and you remember people were losing their 401ks, pension funds, things of this nature, right? Well, do you remember why, especially when it came to pension funds, why people were losing those? Do you remember?
No, I can't remember.
So basically what was happening is you were having large hedge funds come in and buying up these mortgage-backed securities on these bad mortgages, right? So they were creating
right.
funds that were built off of these bad mortgages that were issued, right? And so what was going on is that, I don't know if people know how this works, but, if you work for the, Nashville Police Department or Dallas Police Department or Fire Department or whoever, some kind of public entity that pays out a pension, okay?
Right.
Well, they collect, obviously, money from tax revenue and whatnot, and that helps to go pay those pensions. But they also have to take those funds and they have to grow them, because in order for that money to be there when you retire as a police officer at 65 or whatever, that money has to have grown over a period of time so you can get paid, for the rest of your life, essentially.
Yeah, 2% a year is just par.
Right, exactly. So what your government entities will do is they will go hire out pension funds, or hedge funds or EFTs or REITs or whatever. They'll go out and hire companies to then take that money and invest it somewhere in the market, right? And I don't mean necessarily the stock market. It could be any facet of the market.
Right.
In order to take that money and get a rate of return. Usually they're looking, I think it's like +6 or something like that, to be able to get enough to be able to cover those pensions as they continue to grow. Right. So that's the idea behind how this works. So I don't know if people realize this, but what that means a lot of time is now you're talking about public money, right? Which is tax revenue going to pay pensions for public service employees, teachers, doctors, whatever. Fire department, police department. And then that public money is then being invested by a private equity firm to grow.
Right.
Okay. So, there's good and bad to all of that stuff, just like anything else in life. But the ultimate point is that that's kind of what was used to grow that money so you could get there.
Right.
Well, so when they were investing in those mortgage-backed securities and buying those up and bonds and driving rates and building these funds based off bad loans, then what happened is when that crashed, people lost pension funds, money fell out because, it just didn't go well. So I'm getting all this to basically just say, all right, so nowadays we're in a world, and this affects, it's funny because this article we're about to pull up mentions Texas and Nashville specifically in the article. And what's happening right now is...
Whoa. They mentioned Texas and Nashville.
Well, it's Houston, so...
Okay.
Yeah, they talk about Houston. I'm not in Houston, I'm in Dallas, but...
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to clarify that for the people.
Yeah. So basically... When, normal housing market, right? You and I, even with rates low, most of the people that we talk to are people. They're families, they're moms, dads, brothers, whatever. They're trying to buy their home as an individual family, right? And we've always had a certain amount of the market that was dominated, or not dominated, but that was, brought in by investors, right? We would have people that would buy properties specifically to rent them out. They weren't planning on living there. It's an investment property. You can park your money, that kind of thing. Well, that's all well and good. And there's always been a competitive market that's been going on because of that, right? Well, now we have a whole new player in the market that I don't think people are fully aware of what they're competing against now. All right, so now you can pop that up there for me.
All right, here we go.
We'll just leave it up here for a second, but nowadays, okay, if you're buying a house anywhere in the United States, okay, you are now competing in this article, it says something where between 25 to 30% of the offers you're competing against large pension funds. Okay, so you're not just competing against your neighbor or your friend or some stranger or even an investor, an individual investor. Now you're competing against pension funds. Okay,
and
so
the idea is buy something that appreciates, right?
Correct. Well, it's not just that. No, that's actually not, because you cannot reap the gains of real estate that appreciates until what happens?
Till you sell it.
Till you sell it. So otherwise, that money's just sitting there, right? It's not going anywhere. Well, that's not what they're doing. They are buying these properties and then they are turning them into rentals. And the rental revenue that they earn is what is going to build these pension funds. Okay. So again, I'm not going to argue the positive or negative of this, but just to read you, I'm going to read just for a second this first part of this article. And it says, a bidding war broke out this winter in a new subdivision in North Houston. So this is in Texas. But the prize this time was the entire subdivision, not just a single suburban house, illustrating the rise of big investors as a potent new force in the U.S. housing market. D.R. Horton, okay, everybody's heard of D.R. Horton, built 124 houses in Conroe, Texas, rented them out. So DR didn't sell them to individuals themselves. They rented it out. And then they put the whole community, it's called Amber Pines at Foster's Ridge. They put the whole community on for sale. So, and then it says a who's who of investors, home rental firms flocked to the December sale. The winning $32 million bid came from an online property investing platform called Fundrise LLC, which manages more than $1 billion on behalf of 150,000 individuals' pension funds. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you have entire neighborhoods that are being sold as one block to large corporations, basically not even getting the house on the market. So even if you wanted to go buy it and take your family there, you're out of luck.
But let's look at the bigger picture, because we've all heard the whole hey, I made an offer on this house, I got beat out by cash offer. It's funny how all of a sudden everybody has cash. Well, that's not the case. You're dealing with these type of situations.
Yes.
Now, they don't always buy whole neighborhoods, kind of deal. They might go in and just see an opportunity in a niche market. So Mandy and I were down at Marco Island, and we were just kind of looking at properties and whatnot. And one of the things that we heard them talk about was these high rises, like you see in Panama City Beach, and probably down in what's the beach in Texas? I always
Galveston or
Galveston and down in
Crystal Beach, Corpus Christi.
Crystal Beach. You got those Corpus Christi. That's what I was thinking. You got all the high rises there. They kind of find a niche and they say, look, I might not buy the whole thing, but most of them that come on, I'm just going to put an offer on them. If we get it, that's fine. And they just put that into their, like you said, the $1 billion fund. Now, so I guess my question is, why do you see that as bad? But you're saying because the opportunity for the little guy to buy a house?
Yes. So look, again, I have my opinions on this kind of stuff, but I'm all for, competition and free market. Don't get me wrong. However, there does come a point where the scales are tipped so heavily in one direction that you and I and the average homeowner, they can't compete. They can't even get a chance to buy the house. And our entire, our American dream, whatever you want to call it, is built primarily on home ownership. When you look at what drives our GDP, when people go and do home improvements, when they pay utility, they do all of these things. It's all built around home ownership, right? So if we're getting to a point where we're now, as an individual, I'm competing with BlackRock Financial, who's got a, 20, 30, $300 billion worth of money that they can just throw around and invest at any point. How am I going to compete in that market to get the house for my family that I'm just trying to get started? Right. Yeah. So that's my problem with it is not so much, look, I get you have to find a segment of the market to grow in order to grow funds and these different pension funds and, like I said, REITs and ETFs and all this kind of stuff. Like, I get that. But the problem is that this is what and my point here is this is what we experienced to some degree in 2000. This isn't a bubble. So I'm not like just,
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm going to put a link to this article in here. And I also have another, it's like a news segment that I watch online a lot that explains it really well. But my point is that when we had this in 2008 and 9, this was, people were buying these funds that existed that were based on bad loans. And when the loans went bad, then this all went south. It's not the same thing, but here's what can happen in this environment. If you have, say, 5 or 6 large equity companies, because again, we're not talking about the small guy. It's not like the little, I've got a little hedge fund. No. These are multi-billion with a B dollar. Yes, these are big ones. Okay. So when you have these companies and these funds that are buying this real estate, well, what happens when we have a turn in the economy and people lose their jobs and they have issues paying rent, you know, because again, if you're not letting people own homes, or if the availability of homes to be purchased is not as great as it used to be, and we become more of a renting society, right? And everybody's having to rent, just like everybody leases their car now. So if you have that situation come up, well, what happens when the economy takes a turn? People lose their jobs and can't afford to pay rent. Then if I'm an investment company and I'm looking at this as, well, this is my investment and I need a rate of return for my investors, okay, and this particular fund is tanking because my rents are late and I'm not collecting, what do?
They're going to sell it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You divest yourself of that money, right? You're gone. So you now all of a sudden you've got 2,500 whatever amount of homes that are just thrust on the market immediately for sale. You dilute the supply and demand immediately when you do that, and all of a sudden you take home prices that have been going like this forever, and they go.
All right. So moral of this story from Mike. Here's the moral of the story from what Mike is telling us. All right. So things are good right now, right?
Yes.
And it's cyclical, right? Everything changes, just like football, college football, Alabama. You're not always going to be on top. It's just a thing. It's cyclical. And please comment below if you have something on the contrary. So understand this. Store your eggs. Be prepared. Try to find a job that's kind of resistant to a lot of those changes. But store your eggs and be prepared, because there's going to be thousands, according to Mike and his article, there's going to be thousands at some point. Maybe not next year, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 4 years, maybe in 14 years. Store your eggs and buy a bunch of houses, and you are going to be loaded, because you're going to buy them cheap, and then you're going to rent them out, and you're going to take the place of this guy, of these $1 billion deals. That's what I heard in all that was, I'm starting to store my eggs right now so I could be on a buying frenzy at the bottom.
Well, here's what I will say, in my opinion to anybody that I would talk to that's looking to buy a house, because we get these questions all the time, right? Well, is now the best time to buy, because, you know, prices are going up and they just keep going up, and, you know, I feel like I'm buying at the top of the market and all that kind of stuff, right? We hear that all the time. What I'm saying, and again, I'm not going to argue what I think is good or bad about this, but what I'm saying is that if you're thinking about buying a house anytime soon, anywhere in the near future, there is no better time than right now, because it is not going to get less expensive. It's going to get more and more and more expensive. And really, it doesn't matter what market you're in. But I know, especially my market in Texas, because like we talked about last week, everybody on the planet's trying to move here, right? Because of our tax laws and our business-friendly attitude, which I love.
And you're Texas.
Right. And we're Texas. We're amazing. It's the best state on the planet. But you're also having a similar thing happen in Nashville, Tennessee, and in your area as well. There are people flocking to these communities that are a little bit, coronavirus has, turned this whole world upside down. So, these policies that different states hold, but this is what we're seeing. And when you have that kind of influx of people, and you have now investors, and you have pension funds all competing for the same finite resource, which is real estate, I'm telling you that if you want to own anything, you better start now, because it's not going to get better.
That's one thing. I was actually going to put a video out first of the week, because we have had a nice little reprieve from the deteriorating rate market, right?
Yes.
Today is, I hadn't looked at it in the last hour or two, but over the last 3 days, they've kind of leveled off, or maybe even gotten a little bit better, which is kind of unheard of in this crazy market that we're in right now. So I was actually going to put a video, because what you said is not only houses are getting more expensive, but interest rates are going up. That's a double whammy. So literally, I gave you a pre-approval January the 4th for $300,000. Right. Everything's staying the same. Credit, income, whatnot. I mean, interest rates rising and that house going up. You might not qualify, but for $255 in a month. And at the end of the day, we all know what $200,000 will get you in this market. It's their starter homes are $275 to $300 in our area anyway. So as far as new construction or whatnot, there are some existing homes out there that have maybe some issues or whatnot, or very small, whatnot. But a 1,000 square foot house is 200 plus, you know.
That's right.
So to Mike's point, I was kind of joking on that, although it's always a good idea to store your eggs and be prepared for a potential opportunity, whatever the case may be. But no, there's no doubt that right now is the best time for that. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's the business we're in, but we're also in the information business. And that's where I think Mike and I both enjoy our job, is educating you to understand, hey, why did this happen? Like Mike started with the whole the pension part of it. I mean, that's us giving you information that we've gotten. That's why there's two of us on here, right? We're not just giving you Donnie's brain, we're giving you Donnie and Mike's brain. So and that's something, a lot, maybe not much.
not much. You know, the point is just that, you know, when you're looking at wealth creation and growth of your portfolio, or whatever you want to call it, or just getting started, the point of all this is that there is no better time than today, because it is not going to, and especially in our market, in our industry, I should say, this real estate, you know, what's the old Mark Twain quote, right? Buy real estate, they're not making any more of it. Okay.
There's no doubt about it.
You have to understand the pressures that are occurring in this market. And for some of our realtor partners that we work with every day, you know, this helps them explain stuff to their buyers to say, hey, look, I know this is the first time you've ever bought a house, and I know you just saw that house that was listed for $250, and you think it's trash, not worth $250, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to sell for $270. So you need to be aware of that, right? And you know, it's what it said in this article too. One of the things that it mentioned, if I can pull it back up here, is that here, let me read this one little sentence here. It says, I don't want to say anything about the bubble, but it says the firm expects home. And by the way, my article was from Fox Business, just so you know.
Okay, just by the way.
Yeah. The firm expects home prices to climb 12% this year on top of last year's 11% rise, an increase of at least 6% in 2022, a period of appreciation reminiscent of 2004 and 2005. So what I'm telling you is that it is straight up going that direction. Okay, so when you're buying a house and you want to make an offer and you think that house isn't worth it, there's 20 other people that think it's worth that plus 10%. So you just got to be aware of that. Yeah,
there's no real negotiation on the buyer's side anymore. No. You need to pay your own closing costs. You need to pray. You need to pray it appraises for more because you're offering more than the offer price. And you better close on time and get them your pre-approval letter, because they don't care. I mean, and I say that they do care, but they don't care because they got people, like Mike says, lined up. It's a tough market. What we need more than anything, and that's why I kind of perked up when you were talking about these potential rental conglomerates at some point needing to push them off, because that would even the market. I've thought about often when I'm mowing and I'm listening to I don't know, somewhere between Nickelback and Jamie Johnson and the Foo Fighters.
Look, hang on. Real quick. Okay, look, I love you. Okay, but you can't say Nickelback with Jamie Johnson and the Foo Fighters. Like, what are you talking about? It's like McDonald's with Ruth Chris and friggin'.
But next thing you know, Miles Davis comes on, and then Patti LaBelle. I mean, it's the whole thing. Okay. You know what I do? And this may be controversial, although we've lost a couple of people here in our banter. Do you listen to Michael Jackson stuff?
Of course.
Okay. I turn the radio when Michael Jackson comes on anymore.
Well, see, here's the thing. If I had to unwoke, or whatever you want to call it, like if I had to cancel every single human being that was an artist that did a lot of stupid stuff, again, his actions were obviously much worse than most. But depending on that, right. So, do I support what he did? No. Do I like his music and rock out a little bit? Yeah. I mean, what do we do? Like, it's good. I like Bill Cosby too. He's a funny guy. What do you want? He's a horrible human being, but his art was not bad. You know?
So here's the moral of this story. Mike condones what Michael Jackson did, and Donnie does not. Okay, so on that's not true. So on that note, Bill Cosby, I had I may get in trouble for this because I downloaded. We swapped our hard drives for music back in the old days. Is that totally illegal?
Well, I mean, look,
Okay, but
NASCAR went, had a hard time with that, but
yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah,
those days
yeah.
are gone. You're fine.
I
You're
mean,
fine. Don't worry about
put
it.
the cuffs on me. I'll pay you up.
You're okay.
Whatever. $38.
It's called statute of limitations. You're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's a long time ago.
That's right.
I had a BlackBerry. So, but here's the thing. He had an old album on there of Bill Cosby, like in the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, he gave Eddie Murphy a hard time about being so vulgar, and I can't believe all that. Okay, well, first of all, Eddie got the last laugh when he's in court, and Eddie's like, yeah, man, I guess saying bad words ain't that big of a deal, is it? But there was a album, and it sounded like a young Bill Cosby doing a Jello pudding pop commercial, like the way he talked, but it was less goofy and it was more serious and definitely profanity in it. So the thing I took away from that is, he went from, kind of raw, using an Eddie Murphy an analogy. Early in the day, Bill Cosby went to super clean because that sold, right? The little kids loved it, and Dad made us cake and all that stuff to through the roof. So basically, Michael Mills agrees with everything that Michael Jackson and Bill Cosby have to say.
I don't know what else you could take from that conversation other than that. So I think we just summarized it quite nice. Yes.
All right. So, hey, we've went over our allotted time. So we're going to save our third topic for next time.
Is there a lot of time? I didn't know that there were, do we have rules and constraints on this? Or what?
We're losing. Well, let's just say we're losing people. Okay. We're losing. Oh, we just keep going?
We see people. It's not what happens right now, because you have to catch people at the right moments, get them live. Maybe they're working. Maybe
people
it's later on.
It's at 11:38 on Friday. All right. Well, here we go. So, first of all, this whole eye thing, we talked about it last week and whatnot. I have had to have my eyes dilated. And if you don't know what that is, it's similar to this right here. Okay. So basically they put a drop in your eye. And if you look at my eyes, they're kind of brown right there. Well, they make the black part open up so it lets a lot of light in. If you're a camera person, you'll understand that. You got to open the iris or whatever it is and the pupil and let more light in so you can, whatever.
Yeah.
So I've had to have
we're mostly ignorant, right?
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I do have a pretty good camera that I got with points on a Chase card, and it's a zoom and it's a DSLR.
That sounds like a humble brag to me, is what that sounds like.
No, it's hey man, I had some points and they said it was going to go away, so I had to use it. But my point is, I don't really know how it works, but what happens, they've had to dilate me like 4 times in the last 3 weeks with this whole eye thing. They had to do it this morning. And it is the darndest thing. Well, first of all, Mandy says, this is a great example of dilated eyes. But Mandy, let me get over here. Mandy says, wait.
You do. I mean, look, I'm telling you right now, move your head just a little bit, like tilt it to the side, like match Bert if you can.
Hold on, I can't turn it that way. There we go.
There you go. It's not that far off, bro. I mean, we're talking. It's more flat. You got to be like.
Yeah, I don't have a cone head.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you fix your hair that day, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. So my point being, I've had to be dilated 4 or 5 times the last little bit, and it stinks. Like first thing you do, they walk out. We've all seen the old people, which again. I'm 48 and I'm not old. No, I bring my own sunglasses to the appointment, right? You know, the ones with the big black sunglasses that stick out to here. And by the way, I would kind of like to have some of them because they cover the sides. Because when you're driving down the road, the sun comes in and it's just like, man, I shouldn't be driving right now at all.
Hey, way smarter people than us design those glasses, as ridiculous as they look. It's like, I always joke, when I was a kid, my dad would do yard work outside, and he had like a bandana, and he was wearing tall socks, and just covered. I'm like, you look like a fool. What are you doing? And if you were to take a picture of me now as a 42-year-old man, dude, I look exactly the same. So we want to make fun of the old folks with the glasses, but that stuff works, man. It's not just there.
I took my cool sunglasses and just dealt with the light coming in the side. But my point is, again, the whole take care of your eyes kind of thing. But there is technology out there that can help you a lot. And you do have to put up with, I talked about, I think last week about had to wear my glasses for 2 weeks beforehand. And that was worse than the time that I couldn't speak one word for 2 weeks. Wearing my glasses for 2 weeks was worse than that.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me that the man who has more words flowing out of his mouth than most people on more than me, I think you talk more than I do. And I talk.
No way.
I talk.
No way.
I don't know. But that was worse than not being able to speak.
Yeah.
Why?
Yes. Because, man, the perception. So I've worn contacts in my eyes for 40 years almost, right? And that yeah, I'm 48, so I was like 10 when I got them. So that perception, a lens on your eyeball is a different perspective than a lens an inch or two from your eyeballs, right? Man, I told Mandy, I said, I'm going to fall down these steps because you look at the steps through your glasses. You're walking off a step, and you see the step. Oh, it's right there. And then right before your foot hits, you catch the step below your glasses. Like, oh my God, I'm fixing to fall down this whole thing. I was bumping into walls. I'd knock just my glass off my desk, just knock, like I would just turn like this and knock stuff down. I didn't like it. I'll just say.
Are you suggesting that the vast majority of broken hips in this world can be associated to dilated eyes and steps?
Well, I will say this. I sent my eye doctor, who it's great. I love having doctors that are the same age as me. I've heard my dad talk about it because they're going through the same stuff I am. And they're my doctors, so they're really researched on it. And I told him, Hank, my man, Dr. Hank DeHaven, he's actually lives kind of close to me down there. But I told him, I was like, man, glasses suck. This is horrible, whatever. And it's like on a Friday, he said, thanks, man. That's just what I wanted to hear as an eye doctor on a Friday morning. You've made my day.
That's like the same thing for us when someone calls us on Friday at 7 o'clock and says, hey, my agent told me to call you yesterday and I forgot, but there's a deadline on offers on this house at 9 o'clock and I'm self-employed. Yeah. I just started my new job and I don't think my credit's very good. Can you give me a pre-approval in 30 minutes?
And by the way, I know you're at your son's soccer game for the championship that lasts 4 hours, but I need it in like 30 minutes.
Like you do it now?
Hey, okay. By the way, let's talk to some real estate agents.
What do we always say?
What?
What do we say to that response, to that question?
Absolutely, I'll do it.
Absolutely. Got it. Take care of it.
I got the app right here on my phone. Right. Knock it out. And by the way, real estate agents, we love you. There's no doubt about it. We couldn't do what we do without you. And quite frankly, we love being able to do the whole, and do the Superman, Donnie or Mike, whatever. He's the man. I mean, I can't believe he made that happen. But at the end of the day, it always starts with this. I'm at the golf course Sunday afternoon. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, Donnie, this is Jim. How's it going? I'm sorry to bother you on a Sunday, but I'm going to anyway.
Yes, but this is what's going on.
But we love you.
No, we do. And you know what? The great part about our jobs too, man, is that we can sit here on Friday at 11 o'clock in the middle of a workday and have a stupid conversation and still get our jobs done. And that's why we're always available. It's like people tell me they'll call and say, I'm sorry. Same thing. Sorry to bother you on the weekend or sorry to bother the evenings. I'm like, look, I carry this thing around with me all the time. So it's not a big deal. It's a conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's do what we got to do. And we'll take care of the nuts and bolts as we go. But, with our freedom from our job, we get to sit here and talk and do our thing. That just means you got to put in a little extra time sometimes. But we love doing it. Otherwise, why would we?
I had somebody ask me the other day, he's like, what time do you leave work? I was like, well, I try to leave about 3 or 3:30, but I'm leaving the office, right? Between 3:30 and let's just say 8 o'clock at night, I'll take a couple calls from the office. I'll take a couple, 2 or 3 calls from a real estate agent or client or whatnot. I'll probably send a letter, at least send Sophie a text to send a letter. And, I might read an article and then I'll probably mow my grass some too. But yeah, I'll leave the office at 3 or 3:30, but they know here because they're calling me and they're, seeing correspondence back and forth. I'm not just laying on the couch kind of thing.
No, we're always got stuff going on. And but again, that's the great part of what we do is the freedom and the ability to work remotely. And, especially with, what's happened in the world lately, it's a great tool to be able to have. And, we just don't get a chance to sit down in front of people as much as we used to, even before the pandemic. It's just people are busy. They have busy lives. you know.
My dry erase boards never get hardly any use anymore. Used to, everybody sat in the chair and they were so attentive. I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do here and that. And I don't get to do that.
No, yeah, I mean, but you know, that's just how things change. I mean, the technology's is good and bad. It puts us in better spots to be able to communicate better, but it also limits our interaction with people, and sometimes that's not the greatest thing. But you know, at the end of the day, like I said, everybody has busy lives. We always have, you know, everybody's got stuff going on, and digitally we're kind of tied to our phones. But you know, that's I don't know that I would like it any other way. I don't know if I could go back to the days of taking faxes and you know, filling out an application by hand.
I do miss the waxy fax paper, the slimy fax paper.
Yeah, that was your. Well, I mean, you are 70, so I mean, I can see how.
Wait, you don't even remember the slimy wax?
Yes, I do. Hey, look, I still get faxes today. It's 2021. I still probably get my email fills up with constant people sending faxes. So the fax isn't dead. Let's just be real clear. The fax is alive and well these days.
That's the takeaway from today. Hashtag fax isn't dead.
Fax is not dead.
All right. Well, I think we're to the end of our show. We're at 41 minutes.
I think that's more than enough of us rambling on. So I think that's great.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, nothing at all, man. It's wonderful talking to you as always. I hope you enjoy your Masters weekend on the couch. And just like I say in all my little online videos too, I hope everybody continues to be good humans and keep rolling forward.
Listen, y'all get out there, make it a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. And please comment, share, like.
Yeah. Love it. We're going to keep doing it, even if it's only 2 people.
It don't matter. You can do thumbs down. We're like, that just adds us on a little bit.
That's right.